The media, while trying to tear these governors down, has actually made them look like they are true, natural-born American leaders who are destined for greatness. Ron DeSantis right here in Florida, a.k.a. Super Governor. Kristi Noem, who we all saw at CPAC, who we also know is a conservative and intelligent and effective leader in South Dakota. You also have Greg Abbott in Texas, who said, hey, let's open up Texas. No more mask mandate. Everybody go back to work. This thing's under control and we can't kill our economy. Then there's another guy. Hadn't heard of him really myself until last week, but his name is Tate Reeves, and he's the governor of Mississippi. And he also opened up his state 100%. He also got rid of the mask mandates. And as a result, he got right in the crosshairs of Jake Tapper, State of the Union, CNN, Sunday morning.
We know more people are likely to get sick and die without mask mandates. That's what the science says. Why is this a trade-off you're willing to make, given the fact that we've really been here before?
All right, that question is translated to, don't you know you're going to kill people? How can you explain killing people just so nobody in your state has to wear a mask? Here was his response.
In our state, throughout this pandemic, our approach has been to not only protect lives, but to also protect livelihoods. We have to get our economy rolling so that individuals can get back to work. And I think that's critically important.
I 100% believe right here in my heart that Jake Tapper thought this hillbilly redneck governor from the backwoods of Mississippi is going to be an easy target. I'm going to throw him up there and I'm going to make him look stupid. I'm going to make him look ridiculously dumb and uneducated for just reopening his state 100% in the middle of a pandemic, telling people they don't have to wear masks. I'm going to rip this guy a new one. I'm going to put on my glasses. And Jake Tapper put on his glasses so he looks extra intelligent, and he went after Tate Reeves. And unfortunately, what often happens to uppity Yankees who come down to the South thinking they know better is he got his ass handed to him by this guy from Mississippi.
The fact is that at our peak, we had 1,450 Mississippians in hospital beds because of the virus. Today, that number is below 400. At our peak, we had 360 Mississippians in ICU beds. At this point, that number is below 120. The fact is we have seen significantly reduced levels.
All right, so here's where Jake Tapper's really confused, because he's interviewing a governor from Mississippi who just opened up his whole state. He didn't expect this guy to have hard data to back up his actions. He didn't think this guy knew what he was actually talking about. Jake Tapper was shocked, and you can see it in his face. He was shocked to realize that Tate Reeves, the governor of Mississippi, was up on the local facts and figures and made these decisions not willy-nilly, not on a whim, not because somebody said, oh, you think I can't open up my state? Hold my beer. He did it because he investigated, he talked to the scientists, he looked at the data, and he made an educated guess that was best for Mississippians. Unlike Joe Biden, who just, what did Joe Biden say? This is all Neanderthal thinking. Joe Biden doesn't believe that governors and individuals can think for themselves. And anybody who does something other than what his scientists or his White House tells you to do is a Neanderthal, meaning dumber, less intelligent, it has half a brain compared to, well, Democrats, basically. And Tate Reeves had something to say to the president about that.
And oh, by the way, unlike President Biden, who wants to insult Americans and insult Mississippians, I actually trust Mississippians to make good decisions. They've proven throughout the last year that they can do so, and that's something that I think is very important. The fact is the numbers don't justify government interaction at the levels that we're seeing in other states.
The numbers don't justify the levels of government interaction that we're seeing in other states. What he's basically doing is saying, Jake Tapper, you know why I lifted the mask mandate? Science. Science. This hillbilly knows more about science than Jake Tapper, and Jake Tapper just can't stand it. So you know what Jake Tapper does? Jake Tapper reverts to the one thing that Jake Tapper always reverts to. The one thing he knows he can throw at any Republican and win any battle.
Do you accept that Joe Biden is the legitimate, lawfully accepted the lawfully elected president of the United States?
I imagine at CNN, that question is rolled up in a piece of paper behind a piece of glass with a little hammer that says, in case of emergency, break glass. And whenever a Republican's handing it to them, they just go, grab, boom, unroll it. Do you believe Joe Biden is the duly elected president of the United States? That's their go-to. That's like the final question. That is the litmus test for CNN. It doesn't matter if you can open your state safely, send your constituents back to work. It doesn't matter if Mississippi has more vaccinations and a lower spread than any other state in the country. It doesn't matter that this guy's doing a good job. Does he accept Joe Biden as the duly elected president of the United States? I imagine Jake Tapper sitting on his front porch with like his son-in-law, you know, and his future son-in-law who's asking permission to marry his daughter. He's like, well, listen, before I give you permission to marry my daughter, you have to answer a question. Do you believe Joe Biden was the duly elected president of the United States? If not, I never want to see you again. And in true brilliant gubernatorial fashion, Tate Reeves handed it right back to Jake Tapper with this answer.
President Biden is the president of the United States.
But was he legitimately
in our state,
and
we don't
lawfully
allow
elected?
mail-in voting. In our state, we do not allow mail-in voting, and the reason we don't allow mail-in voting is because we don't think we think that it allows for lots of opportunities for fraud and other things. And I don't think mail-in voting should be allowed in other states around the nation. But President Biden is the duly elected president, and we're going to do everything we can to work with him to help the citizens of Mississippi.
I don't know when this year's Goober Awards are for gubernatorial excellence, but he's definitely on the short list for best governor.